Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today to describe the role of the Bureau of Consular Affairs of the Department of State in our nation's border security program. My remarks will cover the period from May 1993 until July 2002, the years I served as Assistant Secretary for Consular Affairs. I retired from the Department of State in late 2002 after 36.5 years as a career Foreign Service officer, during which I served 8 presidents: Presidents Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush 41, Clinton, and Bush 43. In the limited time I have for this oral statement, I have 3 objectives: to give you an overview of the automated consular systems, to correct a couple of misconceptions about how our processes work, and I also would like to outline for you the budgetary constraints on the Department of State in the 1990s and how these constraints impacted the Bureau of Consular Affairs. I will describe the improvements made to the lookout systems that developed from microfiche in 1993 to the current global system that we have today. All these systems are designed to assist officers in visa adjudication process in evaluating whether or not to issue a visa to a foreign applicant. The systems are the Consular Lookout and Support System, or CLAS, Tip-Off, which is a system developed and managed in my time in CA by the Department of State's Bureau of Intelligence and Research, Visa's Viper, which was created in 1993, designed to obtain intelligence from our embassies and consulates abroad, as well as other agencies operating abroad, and the Consolidated Consular Database, which gives consular officers replicated visa records of all visas issued and refused. These systems contain the names of terrorists, criminal aliens, and others who should not be admitted to the United States. They give consular officers real-time, online name-checking capability. However, if there is a single point that I want to leave with the Commission today, it is that any lookout system is only as good as the intelligence it contains, and the Bureau of Consular Affairs had no intelligence on any of the 19 terrorists. In the 1990s, consular workload increased dramatically. Non-immigrant visa applications rose from 7 million in 1993 to 10 million in 2001. We were also processing over 600,000 immigrant visa applications. U.S. passport demand grew from 3.5 million in 1993 to 7 million in this same time frame. State Department budgets were inadequate for this workload. Because of the lack of funding, the department's senior management determined not to hire to attrition and to reduce promotions significantly into the senior Foreign Service. These decisions had an immediate and very negative effect on consular operations. The department had generally maintained an intake of junior Foreign Service officers of about 200 a year. In the mid-1990s, because of the budget shortfalls, junior officer intake numbered one year 130, another year 110, and another year 90. Because most of the entry-level jobs in the Foreign Service are consular work was heavily impacted. A huge hole was created at the bottom of the service. At the same time, senior officers were being forced out of the service because they failed to be promoted. Thus, simultaneously, there weren't enough junior consular officers, and there was also a shortage of top-level consular management. Entry-level positions were filled through a variety of staffing mechanisms, but many large sections faced a dearth of experienced supervisors to train more junior staff. It was an extremely difficult period and one that lasted well into the 1990s. I would now like to describe for you the various lookout systems that provide intelligence to consular officers in the field. In fiscal year 1994, Congress authorized the Department of State to charge a fee for machine-readable visa applications and to keep that money. That was the first time in the department's history that we were allowed to keep a fee that we collected. It was this funding that permitted the Bureau of Consular Affairs to undertake the enhancements to our system. CLAS is the Consular Lookout System. In 2001, CLAS contained 5.7 million records on aliens, most of which originated with the visa application process at our consulates and embassies abroad. A variety of federal agencies contribute names to this system. INS contributed over 1 million records, including the names of deported aliens. DEA contributed over 300,000, and Customs some 20,000 from its serious drug violator files. Consular Affairs, in turn, provided other agencies through the Interagency Border Inspection System over 500,000 lookout records. Tip-off is a border security and counterterrorism tool developed in 1987 and managed when I was in CA by the Bureau of Intelligence and Research in the Department of State. It utilizes sensitive intelligence and law enforcement information from the CIA, from the FBI, and from NSA and overseas posts concerning known or suspected terrorists and criminals. Tip-off's objective was to detect these individuals either as they apply for visas or as they attempt to pass through U.S., Canadian, or Australian border entry posts. Data sharing was implemented with Canada in 1997 and with Australia in 2000. The Bureau of Consular Affairs provided over $7 million to help tip-off between the years 1995 and 2001. The tip-off staff reviewed all intelligence reports, overseas post cables, and other sources of information for the names and biographic data of known or suspected terrorists that were then entered into CLASS and INS and Customs IBIS system, the Interagency Border and Inspection System. In 2001, the CLASS database contained over 48,000 such records. Visa's Viper is an integral part of tip-off. Intelligence and law enforcement agencies had been reluctant to share terrorist information at posts where it was developed. However, they professed themselves comfortable with providing this information through INR and through tip-off. Because the Bureau of Consular Affairs was advised that intelligence was flowing to the Bureau of Intelligence and Research, we believed that we were getting all such intelligence that they had to protect our country. As I noted earlier, even a state-of-the-art system like ours is only as good as the intelligence it has in it, and we had no intelligence on these 19 terrorists. Finally, the Consolidated Consular Database is a globalized database of visa records. All visa data collected abroad was being replicated to the CCD, and by May of 2001, we were able to make the Consolidated Consular Database available to all visa issuing posts. The photo and details of all visa applicants, once only available locally to the post where the application originated, are now available in real time to all visa officers worldwide. Visas can be checked at any point in the process against all issued and refused visas worldwide, and consular management in Washington now has access to up-to-the-minute information about visas around the world. By October 2001, INS was able to accept this information and provided it to all the ports of entry. All of these systems were designed to protect the United States from those who mean us harm. I'd like to address now some of the distortions that appeared in the media after the attacks on our country about visa operations in Saudi Arabia. In order to meet existing and new demands for visa services, and in the absence of adequate financial and personnel resources, the Bureau of Consular Affairs developed programs aimed at getting the work done as efficiently and effectively as possible. One of these programs was Interview by Exception, and was designed to concentrate scarce resources on visa applicants that were problematic. We also developed a travel agency referral program whereby carefully vetted travel agents could submit applications for their clients who generally would not be interviewed. Variations of this program existed before my time in the Bureau. Validation studies were conducted to ensure that the clients did return from visits to the United States, and agencies that violated any of the rules or whose clients overstayed in the United States were dropped from the program. The United States Embassy in Saudi Arabia developed such a program in 2001, one of more than 30 posts with similar programs. It was incorrectly alleged that travel agents were deputized to make visa decisions when they obviously had a financial interest in seeing that the visas were issued to their clients. Nothing could be further than the truth. We use such programs in countries with low refusal rates or where the applicants had to travel long distances from their homes to our embassies and consulates. In every case, the applications were checked through CLASS, and CLASS is designed so that the visa cannot be printed unless the system is checked. For any indication of a problem, and the consular officer was free to require the applicant to appear for an interview, and the policy was never to guarantee issuance.
Ambassador, if you could start to wrap up.
I'm sorry. We treated Saudis exactly the same as we treat all nationalities who need visas from us. About 40% of our international visitors enter the United States through the visa waiver program, and those people are not checked by State Department consular officials. Everyone else is checked, and checked carefully through class, through the databases. To summarize, with all of these systems, we need intelligence information from the agencies designed to collect it. We had no such intelligence information on any of the 19 terrorists. Thank you for your attention.